campaigning for 20 years. What changed everything for me and for a lot of survivors was in 2010 when the Pope came over to these shores, and a lot of people were asking him to apologise. That was all we wanted at that time, just an apology and a recognition. And it wasn't till he was on the plane on the way home when he'd left Scotland that he actually apologised to the Irish Catholics. This set something inside me, a fire burning, that I knew then that I had to get justice. At that time, compensation wasn't exactly an issue, but I started campaigning very heavily. I started doing vigils outside churches, I started doing campaigns outside churches, and I started campaigning outside the headquarters of the Irish Christian Brothers, as well as the Scottish Parliament. I stood sometimes for 5 days and 5 nights. Sometimes I stood for 10 days campaigning. My reputation started to grow. The media took attention, and all of a sudden more people took interest and more survivors started coming forward. And I started hearing some terrible, terrifying and terrible stories about the way survivors of historical child abuse had been and are being treated in Scotland. So I decided that I wanted to make sure that I could be an example and I would get compensation. So I approached the Catholic Church and I approached the Christian Brothers some 6 years ago. And what followed was a pattern of abandonment, a pattern of lies, a pattern of deceit, where I had accusations made against me about my mental state, about my drug addiction. And the more I tried to get justice and get them to talk to me, the more they became steadfast in trying to knock me down. So I took on various attempts, various campaigns, again which involved standing outside various churches and organisations for long periods of time. It ended up in 2016 when I decided that I was going to stand outside the headquarters of the Roman Catholic Church in Glasgow for 10 days, chained to a cross, an 8-foot cross. So that's what I did. During this time the church did no effort, or the Irish Christian Brothers made no effort to talk to me. So on the 9th day I got a message back to the church to say that I'd changed my mind. I was now going to stay there for 40 days and 40 nights. This of course went all over the world. Media came out from all over the world to see this. But on day 11, I suddenly got a message from the Irish Christian Brothers who said they wanted to meet with me. So a meeting was arranged and they asked me how I wanted to progress with this. So I got advice from a lawyer in England who suggested that we go through what's called a joint settlement meeting. So a meeting was arranged in Manchester, England. This meeting took 7 hours, in which I had to endure the most horrific accusations and stuff aimed at my family and myself. This was a tactic to get me to accept the derisory offers that they were making. In the end, I settled for a sum which was close to a 6-figure sum, and I was also asked to sign a disclosure. A disclosure means that you cannot reveal anything that was said, and you cannot, at that point, campaign anymore against the Catholic Church.
You never signed that disclosure.
So I didn't sign it. What I did was, the day I came out, I got a group of friends together and I started an organisation called S.A.F.E, which stands for Seek and Find Everyone Abused in Childhood. And I stood outside the Catholic Church again, and someone came over to me high up and asked what I was doing. And I told them, Scotland's children will be silenced no more. We continue the fight until you come out and you show willingness and keenness, and you create an environment where survivors can feel safe to come forward.